Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Young with Ram. You know, the series where I answer the questions you posted in the previous week, Young with Ram. I try to answer them all, so let's try to do it this week as well. First question actually was sent by private, and it says, "Hey Ram, out of the videos you have posted, which one do you think is the best?" Well, that's actually a pretty good question. Things here is that there's a difference between my best video for entertainment purposes or my best video for teaching purposes or um, basically it depends a lot. Also, am one of those who thinks that an entertaining gameplay is okay, but I'd rather put up something useful for people to learn from. So there are some games I have recorded, well, back in the day, with a lot of kills that I never posted up because it was simply me kicking newbies. And that really has no attraction, I guess. So also, I'm one of those who think that kill death ratio doesn't really matter much. At least not in War Thunder. Yes, of course, killing matters a lot in what regards to rewards. Sadly, because it shouldn't be that way. But to be a good player, you don't have to kill a lot of enemies. You have to do is to be a good teammate, take the right tactical decisions, and many times the right tactical decisions are going to prevent you from killing a lot of enemies. For instance, think about this situation. You are at a given altitude, you see three low enemies who are really open for an attack, and there's just one guy up there. And you go for the higher guy, which is the tactically solid choice. But you are giving up on maybe 2-3 kills if you start diving on the other guys. So whoever dives on these guys is going to kill them. While in the best of situations you are going to get one kill if you kill that guy up there. And if he's a really good pilot, and usually the guy coming at an altitude is a better pilot, usually, than the guys who come at low altitude, well, you're in for a good fight. So you might even lose it. Or you might even draw it for a good while until someone else comes and decides the fight for either side. If someone of his team comes and kills you, well, you have lost your life, but you still did the right tactical choice. If someone of your team comes and kills him, you get no reward, but still you have done the proper right tactical choice. So it's really complicated to judge which is my best video. Because honestly, I have some really good ones. I also have some ones that are really not that good. And there are some that are directly crap, I have to admit. But if I have to judge my best video, gameplay video, not related with the Fighter Combat School, I would like something to... a video that shows, first of all, good tactical calls, which is for me the most important thing. Second of all, good ACM, good maneuvering, good air combat, as such. Third, if possible, a lot of kills. And finally, in a really challenging position. Because of course, it's not the same if you get 4 kills when 4 of you in the same squad enter a game and meet a complete collection of noobs in the other side who don't have a clue and don't know how to take off, than if you alone, without anyone in your wing, enter a battle to find your team totally outmatched and in a desperate situation, and the guys who really don't know how to even take off are in your side. So in the second case, those 4 kills are a lot worth more than in the first case. So if we go by those 5 parameters, which are good tactical decisions, good fighting, good ACM, uh, kills, and challenge, I would say that probably my best game in the channel is one I posted in a live commentary with a typhoon. I'm going to link it there, and you will find a link down in the description as well. In that one, I still remember that one. Was epic. I started out in Korea with a Typhoon Mark 1A, being the only fighter in my team. We had a couple broken fighters back when they were absolutely broken, but they chose to, well, skim the trees, and I don't know what they were doing. But in the end, it was, well, if you see the video, you will know what I mean. It was also funny because at the beginning of the game, I was all like sad and something sad and down, like we are going to lose this. If we get one kill, we are going to be lucky. And at the end of the game, I was hell yeah, hell yeah. So yeah, I think that one is one of my best, if not the best, because it really meets all the criteria. I have other really good videos up, but I think that one's the best. So if you want to see it, there's going to be a link in the description below, and I will try to put out one in annotations as well. Next question. Ram, what happened to all your viewers? English is one of the hardest languages to speak. Well, what happened? I don't know. There are a lot of keep in mind, a lot of people are coming to the channel each day. There are new people who are just looking at videos, they are looking for information, and they are still deciding if they are going to subscribe or not. And I have to understand that, and I do understand, that whoever is looking for a YouTube channel to subscribe and to see videos, he really wants something that teaches him, but also something that's entertaining to watch, and something that doesn't take a lot of work looking at and understanding. For many people, my accent is not easy, and there's no way around that. And I'm not going to gnash my teeth and headbutt a wall because I can't get myself understood better. I do what I can, and I think I'm getting better with time, and that's all, and that matters. What matters is that at the end of the day, I do my best. And for people who really look for something that can teach them and have no trouble understanding me, of course that's going to be enough. But there are people out there who will have trouble following my English because it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, and those people will complain. That it's normal. In the comment sections they will say, well, this guy is impossible to understand, I can't understand a single thing. Probably will be a little bit too strong of a critic, because I think I'm not hard to understand in some parts. In some others, probably yeah. And I'm also very aware that there's something that I'm trying to stop in me a lot, and that's my tendency to stop myself talking for like a second and thinking about what's coming next and say it's very typical of me, at least when speaking in English. And I'm trying to get rid of that consciously, so at one moment it becomes as unconscious. So I stop, as the same way right now I stop now and then and say, well, what I'm trying to is to get rid of that, so the automatic thing for me is to say nothing at all and make the in my brain. Of course, the thing is that the whole picture. There are some people who are looking at my very early videos, which are made in a totally disgraceful English and with a lot of etc. And they get the idea that every video is going to be that way. Of course, not. I'm trying to improve. And well, for a lot of you guys, that's enough. For a lot of people, it's not. So nothing wrong with that. It's not that something has happened with it to all my viewers, and it's not that English is one of the hardest languages to speak, which I agree with, by the way, because really it's complicated for me to get the pronunciation right. But it's more to do with the fact that YouTube is a recreational thing and you don't want to work by watching a video, and I can totally understand that. It's fine. Still, I do what I do. I do what I can, and for people, some people will be enough. For other people, won't. So yeah. Next question. I am sorry if I missed it in one of your previous videos, but are you officially done with War Thunder? Yeah, you have. I can say you have missed a lot, man. Um, there's I'm not officially done with them, anything. I'm not one of those who says, fuck this, I'm gone. And who slams the door shut and says he's never going to come back. Because everyone is a slave of what he says, but he's as free as what he's able to suit of, if you follow what I mean. So if I go out and say I'm not going to play War Thunder ever again, then what happens is that if something changes in the development process and I am convinced by that, I can't move back because I said I'm not going to come back. I'm a man of my word. I try to stick to what I say I'm going to do. And sometimes it's hard because I get a lot of pressures here and there to play War Thunder again. But what I said and what I stated is that in its current shape, the air part of War Thunder is being developed in a direction I don't share at all. That I'm not convinced. I don't think it's a good decision to bring tiering in the way Gaijin is doing right now, tiering of planes. And that I'm not convinced at all by the changes and the lack of flight model fixes and the introduction of new broken flight models in every patch, because it only compounds to a problem which is rampant in the game right now. A lot of the planes don't behave the way they should. And instead of taking the time to properly fix all of them, what they are doing is introducing yet more broken stuff in the game. All in all, what this means is not that I'm officially done with War Thunder. The air part, ground forces, is a totally different stuff, because it's right now at the beginning of the development, it's in closed beta, and there's a lot of room to improve it. And also, I think that a lot of lessons that probably the developers learned with the air part are going to be applied to the ground part. And hopefully they learned the proper lessons. We'll see. But in regards to the air part, as long as most of the flight models are brought into reason, the overheating problem with many planes are brought into reason, every plane complies with the same laws. Point in case, the controllability issues at high speeds are really extreme in some planes, while in other planes are simply non-existent because they are not implemented yet. Until across the board, that's not a problem anymore. And most particularly so, and probably the most important thing, until I don't see a reasonable tiering of planes, which means no LA GG3s at level 1, no F4Us at level 2, no Korean War jets versus World War II propeller planes, that kind of stuff. Until that particular thing is in place, I highly doubt I'm going to give War Thunder any more tries in the air part. This doesn't mean I'm officially done. This just means that for now and for any foreseeable future, you are not going to see a lot of me flying War Thunder. That's the thing as it stands right now. We'll see if in the future, with the incoming updates, the problems I have with the game are increased, or I see a different path of developing. If that happens, if I see that they are trying to go the way I would really want this game to go, then probably I would be back. But we will see. Speaking about that, and in that particular sense, in the last 2 days, in Saturday and Sunday, you will probably, well, I don't know if you will probably, but a lot of people have seen me in the game, in War Thunder, online. This doesn't mean I was flying, because I was not. And certainly not doesn't mean that I'm going to return to the game, because right now I'm not. These last 2 days, what I have been doing has been commentating on a live stream of the Gladiator tournament, which is being conductor right now. I joined the streamer, who is well, Saturday was Bismarck, Sunday was Scream, Scarper is also around, and well, some people randomly join as well to help commentating and running the event, the events, the tourneys. And for that, of course, I have to enter the game, join the custom battle where the tournament rounds are being fought. I have to expectate from one of the sides, so I can't comment on the battle that's going on. And a lot of people have seen me online and have assumed I was flying, and that was not the case. So yeah, about the tourney itself, well, it's a tourney. You can look at on it in the forums, in the War Thunder forums. I will link it down in the description so you can take a look and see what's it about and how it's been run. And it's actually a nice competition, but the problem is, in many cases, we get people who don't attend, which I don't understand. There are people. I don't understand. If you get into a tourney with a group of friends and you are going to compete, and you inscribe to that tourney and you get into that tourney, the least you can do is to show up when your time to fight comes, because there are a lot of people who are putting their time and their effort to make it enjoyable for everyone. First of all, for those who are competing. Second of all, for all of them, all that people who are trying to follow the tourneys of the streams. And it's no fun that you plan on a whole evening to be totally clear, so you don't have anything to do, so you can totally focus on attend and commentate on the games that are scheduled for a given evening, to then see that out of maybe 6 games that have happened, only 2 happen because the rest of the teams didn't show up, and that's really sad. But other than that, it's been I'm liking the experience. It's pretty fun. See, if you want, well, to see any of those games, well, follow the links I'm going to provide in the description below. Take a look at that, and I don't commentate on them all. Of course, I'm only able to attend some of them, and not all of them by far. But during, I usually say in my Facebook when I'm going to commentate, so you can join and, well, join the fun. I don't know. Watch the stream, watch the tourney, and hear me commenting about the battles. So yep, that's it for this question. Next one. This one is, when is your footage for your 1v1 coming in? I am waiting with my pants down. This is actually related to the last customer event we had, where I had a couple of 1v1s versus people who, well, earned that right to fight me. Let's say it that way. And I actually got beaten by one of them. I'm beaten really hardly, and this is going to be uploaded. Don't worry. In fact, you know what? You are about to see it. Okay, so let's see how we do. This guy is good. At least in the battles we could see of him before to be in the final. We could see he's really a good fighter pilot. So let's see what he does. I'm trying to win as much speed as I can. The plan here beforehand is to go up and zoom away until speed comes down maybe to 150 and then close up in a very tight loop. I'm predicting this guy is going to try to stick out all the energy he can after the cross, and that will put me in his back. We'll see. So zoom away and let's close it up. Indeed, he's just exactly what I was expecting. He's just trying to change all his speed for altitude, but right now I have angles on him. I'm behind him and I'm closing it really fast. Let's level up to maximize acceleration, and yeah, I'm firmly on his 6. There you go, he's starting to maneuver. Let's win a shot here. Some hits, good avoidance there. Okay, so let's do high yo-yo, low yo-yo chain. That will give me another shot. There he is. Yes, some shots in the tail. Okay, let's be careful here because he's trying to force overshooting. Let's go vertical. He shouldn't have energy to follow me. Ooh, he's bringing his nose up and not enough to win a shot. Okay. All we have to do is to fall down on him again, do another pass and keep on doing that. Nice close turn. He's trying to... Whoa, 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 what's that? What's... Oh, shit! Wow! Okay, let's get out of here. Wow, 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 wow. This guy's good. That was a rather turn. Freak me. Okay, let's get out. Let's get out. Let's get out. Let's try to take him off. No, no, no. This is not happening. This guy's going to get me. Oh crap. This is going to... Oh my gosh, what a move. Oh shit, shit. Get up, get up, get up. Nice. Okay, let's try to... No. Now wings... Engines damaged, wings are not producing lift. I'm destroyed. Okay, it's over. Wow, that was... What the hell? What the hell was that? If you... That was amazing. That was a rudder turn. He could to one side. He surprised me. I thought he was going to roll up. Okay, so there you go. That was the 1v1. That was one of the best moves I have seen in War Thunder, and it's a difficult one to pull without joystick and rudders. If you're wondering what happened, is that he started a rolling motion to one of the sides. I thought he was trying to do a rolling scissor to make me overshoot. And in a rolling scissor, of course, all you do is to do spirals. And instead of keeping on his spiral at one given moment, he used his rudder to stop and cut inside my turn. And that gave him a perfect position to trail me for the rest of the game. So yeah, I was totally taken by surprise. I was a little bit too cocky maybe, but yeah, it's what happens when you are so cocky maybe. Excellent, excellent fight. That guy was really, really good. So well, yeah, you were waiting for with your pants down to watch that, so you can put them up again. Next question. Can you write questions with the time at which you answer them in the video information? Well, I could, but I'm not. First of all, because it's a hell of a... It's really a lot of workload, and requires me to be up at the moment this video is uploaded. Because then I have to go to YouTube annotations and take note of all the points where I start answering every question, and I usually answer a lot of questions per video, and that's a lot of work. And second of all, because usually these uploads end up midnight for me when I'm trying to sleep, and it's a case of leaving it for the next day or waiting for the video to go up. And finally, I think that if you really like this stuff, these Q&As, all questions are as interesting to each other. So yeah, I don't really think there's a huge need for that, unless it's a different format of questions and answers with more specific things that might be just interesting for some people and for other people not. So I'm not planning to do it that way, sorry. Next question. Ram, do you think Germans lost the war because they were lacking heavy bombers? And even if they have them, would they have made any mistake, any impact? And of course, what is your favorite heavy bomber? Well, I think the Germans lost the war because they started it. What happens when you go against the world is that usually the world ends up kicking you in the teeth. And that's pretty much what happened in World War II. Of course, there were more countries involved. There was Italy, there was Japan, but Japan was a totally different war, in a totally different hemisphere, which had absolutely nothing to do with the war in Europe. But Germany basically took on the world with a little bit of extensions. Allied nations were Hungary, Romania, I think Croatia, but Croatia was a puppet state. Bulgaria, which was kind of funny because Bulgaria declared war on the Western Allies but didn't on the USSR. So it was kind of a funny situation. The USSR didn't give a damn. When they reached Bulgaria, they invaded it, so whatever. And Finland. And of course, some other minor, Slovakia, that kind of stuff. The thing here is that out of those nations, really the major power was Germany by a wide and big margin, and they were taking on the UK, France, USSR, United States, and that's kind of trying to bite a little bit too much for what you can. I don't think that any German heavy bombers would have changed that. I don't think that had Germany established a superiority over Britain in the Battle of Britain would have meant anything. Because to invade an island, you need a navy, and Germany didn't have a proper navy to pull up a naval invasion. If you take a look at the logistics of Overlord and the preparation leading up to Overlord, which were more than 3 years of planning, not kidding here, they were planning on that since 1941, and all the stuff they had to bring to the beaches just to make the invasion viable in the long term, you will understand that simply putting some troops over Britain was not going to mean that Britain would be destroyed or taken out of the war. Because once you have an army in a position, you have to keep it supplied. And if you can't, then you're going to lose that army. And in many war games, both during the war and after the war, Sea Lion were gamed, and I don't know of any other outcome of those war games that the Germans running out of supplies maybe after a couple of weeks or after a month and having to surrender in mass, which was pretty much what happened in Tunisia. And the Germans put 250,000 soldiers on Tunisia, and then they simply weren't able to keep them supplied. And I think it's not that I think, it's that wargaming has proven that Sea Lion was not viable because the Germans couldn't keep open communications with the continent. They couldn't keep the troops on the island with enough supplies to make the invasion viable. And without kicking the UK out of the war, I don't think World War II was winnable for Germany. And Germany simply couldn't take the UK out of the war by invasion. They have to concentrate on the Battle of Atlantic, strangling the lines of supply, and trying to bring her down to its knees by cutting the supply lines. But to do that, you needed a determined effort and prioritize the U-boat offensive and trying to cut down the Atlantic sea lines. But instead, Germany embarked itself on invading the USSR. And invading the USSR when the Western Front wasn't closed was a big mistake, as it was proven when the Allied forces started bombing Germany, and afterwards with Overlord, of course. I don't think Germany could win the war. There are some ideas about, well, have the Germans done this, or have the Germans done that, or have the Germans basically Hitler taking different choices at different moments. Germany could have won the war, and that's true. But however, to take those initiatives, to take those right decisions, you need an intelligent leader. And any intelligent leader would have kept Germany out of a war in the first instant. So it's kind of a conflict of interests. On one hand, you say, well, if they had a smart leader who knew something about the military and strategy, grand strategy, Germany could have actually won the war. But on the other hand, had Germany had someone with a slight idea of strategical thinking in the grand strategy, Germany would have never gone to a war. They would have folded their bid on Poland and would have tried to survive with what they had won until then. So no heavy bomber would have changed that at all, at all. Also because the Luftwaffe wasn't oriented towards strategic bombers, and it was never oriented towards big planes over numbers. I mean, for the Luftwaffe High Command and for the Air Ministerium of the Raids, it was always more important to put three or four twin-engine bombers in the sky rather than two four-engine bombers in the sky, because 4 versus 2 numbers is what mattered for them. Actually, it was pretty extreme in some cases. Germany was probably the nation with the lowest spare part production in the whole world. For instance, in the aircraft industry, usually what you do to build a plane is to build the airframe, then build the engine, then build a spare engine, then build some spare parts to repair the plane as it flies and maybe gets damaged, maybe needs an overhaul, and you build enough spare parts to service that particular plane for a long time. Well, Germany didn't do that. The spare part production in Germany was really low because it diverted production from building yet more planes. So it was kind of a waste of resources in many cases. The whole thing was a mess. I mean, really, seems to the outsider might think that Germany was so great and was so close to win the war. Actually, I think in a couple of moments it could have happened, but looking at things in a general perspective, it was a total mess. A total mess. And one is amazed by the sheer incompetence on how Germany was run during World War II, particularly so from the economic standpoint. But not just that. I mean, I think the biggest chance for Germany to win the war was actually not emphasize the military aspect. I'm going to try to explain myself here. Let's take, for instance, the invasion of the USSR. The USSR, when Germany invaded, was a total disaster. I mean, the 5-year plans were not really good. The economy was not really good. A lot of people were extremely, extremely angry at Stalin because of the 1920s famines, and a lot of people had died, particularly so in Ukraine, Belarusia, the western part of the USSR. The economic plans from Moscow had costed millions of lives. Not kidding here. Millions of people died of hunger in the 20s. And a lot of people simply wanted to get free out of the USSR, but of course they couldn't because Stalin and the Red Army would not let that happen. And the Germans, people tend to forget about this because everyone remembers how the Germans just did what they did in the Eastern Front. I'm not going to go through with that because everyone knows the atrocities that happened there. But for the first weeks of the war, and as the Germans were advancing like steamrollers all over the Western USSR, people were actually receiving them as liberators. Of course, after maybe a couple of days, the front had gone by. Then the death squads came and started shooting people and started taking people and sending it to the concentration camps and starting committing all the atrocities that happened in the Eastern Front. And what was initially seen by many as a liberation movement, after weeks, it was seen as the worst thing that could have happened to the USSR and any socialist republic within the USSR, much worse than anything Stalin could do. So they simply all went on to fight until the end. And in the end, of course, they turned the tables and they won the war. But if at that critical moment where they were received as liberators, they would have gotten rid of the death squads and the stupidity and xenophobic assholery, and instead of shooting the people, they would have asked for the help in overthrowing Stalin. Germany would probably have caused For beginners, they would have had an immense man pool of voluntaries, which was the thing that really Germany lacked the most in 1942, 1943. Manpower. Germany didn't simply have enough infantry to cover all the fronts. And in Manstein's memoirs, particularly so, I spoke about this last week. I was reading them. Well, I just had read them. Manstein complains a lot and complained a lot and about his lack of infantry. He simply didn't have enough infantry formations to garrison all the fronts and to cover for all the approaches where he could be threatened from. Well, for beginners, there were a lot of people that initially wanted to volunteer with the Germans from the captured zones of the USSR. Of course, I'm telling about the first days of the invasion. Afterwards, it was clear that that was an extermination war. The Germans didn't want to liberate the Belarusia or USSR or Ukraine or whatever. They didn't want to overthrow Stalin. They wanted to exterminate the Slavs and take all that space for them. Once that became clear, of course, that was game over. But a smart politician would have used that hate people had for Stalin and used that in their advantage. First of all, to guarantee there would be no partisans in the rearguard. Second of all, to win a sizable amount of volunteers they could use as, well, garrison troops or maybe second line troops or in some cases even frontline troops. And they would have been in a much better shape. And probably they would have been able to kick Russia out of the war. Actually, the USSR was in a couple of times really close to be kicked out of the war. And yeah, but to do that, what you would have needed would have been a politically intelligent person, which Hitler was, but also one that didn't want to exterminate all the races that were not Aryan, and particularly so that didn't think that the Slavs were subhuman. So it was kind of impossible. So Hitler was simply damned to fail in the USSR, simply because of his political crap. I'm not going to say even beliefs. His political bullshit just was the direct cause of him not being to capitalize on the fact that everyone in the USSR hated and feared Stalin so much. And they saw in the German occupation at the beginning, they saw the perfect chance to free them from the Soviet hammer. And instead, what they provoked was totally the opposite. Fever of patriotism all around the place, and a lot of people who otherwise would have been just too happy to see Stalin get overthrown, well, to get together behind the red banner and to fight back. Until, of course, they kicked German ass. So Germany simply couldn't win the war. It's as simple as that. Incompetence doesn't win wars, and Germany was led by incompetence. That's the only explanation. Next question. Oh, sorry. Favorite heavy bomber of the war? B-29. there's not a challenge. It was the best by a wide margin. Technologically extremely advanced for its time. A heck of a plane, really good performance, ability to drop a lot of bombs, extreme range, good defensive gunnery, simply had it all. So yeah, B-29 Super Fortress. Next question. Hey Ram, I noticed you play World of Tanks with Ingles sometimes. How about you posting some replays, lols, fails, and how do you enjoy World of Tanks? Well, I simply don't because I can't play it. Since patch 8.7, I think it was, I started having this problem that I don't know why, and I simply don't understand why it happens because it's still happening at this moment with the latest patch. I get random huge lag spikes, which basically mean that one given moment I'm just playing normal, and suddenly the connection kind of gives a big bump, and for 2-3 seconds I'm unable to control the tanks or see what's happening or whatever, because simply the connection freezes, and then it comes back, and after maybe 45 seconds it happens again, and it's randomly happening all the time and makes the game totally not just unplayable, it makes it a pain to play. So I simply gave up. I tried everything I could to fix it. At this stage, I have tried everything sort of a total wipeout of my hard drive and do a clean reformat, and I'm not going to do that for a game. Sorry, but no. And yeah, it happens all the time. I don't know why, but it just happens, and it makes the game unplayable for me. So I can't play World of Tanks. And of course, if I can't play it, I can't post any videos about it. I posted a couple of World of Tank videos back in the day, and there's also some videos about the YouTuber Dream Teams I was able to attend before the freaking lag spike problem attacked me. But other than that, I can't put up anything for World of Tanks because I can't play it at all. So yeah, that's it. Next question. Hey Ram, if War Thunder tanks are good in your opinion, but you still don't like the aircraft part in the future, will you play War Thunder tanks or not? Yes, no, I don't. My problem is currently with the air part, and for the reasons I have stated many times already. If the tanks are developed in a way I feel is sensible and is historically accurate, and it makes for a good historical approach to tank combat during World War II, I will play it without a problem, no matter the air part is one way or another. But we'll see if that happens. I'm hoping it will happen because actually the closed beta feels really good. I think they have a really good product in their hands, and all they have to do is to polish it and work on it and develop it to make it an incredible game. But of course, the same could be said about the air part of the game 1 year ago. The thing is that I honestly think that it's much easier to mess up on the air part than the ground forces part. Because as I have stated in other videos, it's much easier to bring a broken flight model than a broken tank model. No one is going to care if, I don't know, a T-34 accelerates 8% more than what it should, because really it's going to make no difference in the end. But everyone is going to go mad if any plane climbs 10% more than what it should, because that's a huge difference. So I think it's a much more easy to keep within historical parameters. We'll see what they do with the tiering, which is the only thing I really fear, how they are going to put balance out the trees and the research trees, because if you have to do with a Panther 2 versus an IS-2, yeah, you know what I mean. So, as long as I avoid the retardness of the Korean War jets versus World War II planes syndrome in ground forces, I think they are going to hit it in the head. Right now, it's extremely high quality, and probably will keep on playing it. Yeah, no matter what happens with the air part, we'll see how it goes about the air part. I still don't have my hopes totally gone about it being fixed, but one thing doesn't have anything to do with the other. And finally, last question. Hiram, do you know the Pakistani Sabre pilot Muhammad Mahmood Alam, the one that killed 5 planes in a minute? If yes, can you please tell us how he did it? Well, he did it fast, really fast. He killed 5 planes in a minute. He did it in a Sabre. He was fighting Indians. And that's all I know. No, I honestly, and I'm sincere here, of course. I could have gone to maybe Wikipedia, look up for this name, and I'm going to do after I finish off rendering this video and starting uploading it because I'm curious about this guy, but I have never ever heard about him. Um, I know a lot about World War II air combat, but honestly, from 1947 onwards, they are still planes, they still interest me, but they are not the passion that World War II planes are for me. So I don't know that much about post-war. I don't know nearly as much about the Korean War that I know about World War II, for instance, because really for me the main passion is in World War II, and I have never heard of this guy. Sorry. And as I said, I could go to Wikipedia, look for some details on how this guy killed 3 guys in a minute, but I'm not going to do that. I don't want to fake that I know what I don't. I know what I knew, what I do, and I don't what I don't. This I didn't know. I will look his name and I will educate myself on that guy because 5 planes in a minute is extremely difficult to pull. That's ace in a minute. That's really strange. That happens really few times. So I'm sure he was a really good pilot. So yeah, that's going to be it for this week's Young with Ram. Remember to upvote the comments you see in the comment section below and that you want to see answered by me. And also remember to post any questions you want to hear me answering. As always, thank you very much for watching, guys, and see you later.